Well, Steve White, Steve R39. Well, I signed on to Stan for Invisible Boys, but I discovered Queer as Folk, the reboot from 2022. I'd never bothered with the show back in the day. It seemed to be just a miserable reveling in victimhood and just negative, and I just never even bothered trying to watch it back in the day. It died a quick death. It was cancelled pretty quick because it had no views. The gays didn't embrace it. The straight people weren't interested in it, and it died. It was 8 episodes. The American Queer as Folk, the original one from 2000, went for 5 years. It was embraced by the gay community. Straight people embraced it and were interested in it and wanted to see how we lived and got to see us as people. It was a great success. The British version, 3 seasons, pretty much the same deal, I believe. This show, no, it died a quick death because it didn't do any of that. And I can't criticise it too harshly because you can't criticise the gay community. Even though I'm a member of the gay community, I can't say what I really think because you're not allowed to. Any video will be removed for community guidelines things. So yeah, so this show, you get afraid to get to connect with the characters as they're introduced because you know, if you know the show, at the end of the first episode there is a shooting at the gay bar Babylon. Now Babylon was the club in the original UK show, and then they had it again in the I think it was in Pittsburgh, the second show. So I guess they have franchise because now there's a Babylon in, I think, New Orleans or wherever this is set. And there's a shooting at the end of the episode. So I'm watching this, I'm like, I don't want to get attached to any of these people because I don't know how many of them are going to be alive at the end of this episode. And of course the cutest guy gets killed, Darius, or Daddy as he's known. But though he's actually dead, he stays in the show as a memory, as a fantasy, as a delusion, as a video, you know, like, so he is present. He's a member of the cast even though he was killed. So yeah, so the whole community falls apart, shuts down. The only people active on the community are people exploiting the shooting for memorials and charities and making money. And the characters go along with it because they want to make money too, and they're gnashing their teeth the whole time, having to put up with all these straight people and people from outside of the scene coming in and saying, oh my god, I was nearly there, I was one step away from it being about me. And they criticise them for that, but yet they still play that game and take their money. So it's just hard to respect any of the characters in this show. There's an example of a couple who have children. They're incredibly responsible. They're still snorting coke and going to clubs and lying to each other and cheating on each other and giving their children to anyone who will babysit, no matter how inept they are. And I would not be giving my kids to any of these people to take care of for the night. I'm sorry. It's a really bad example, and I don't think it's representative of gay people really, and it wasn't a good example to show straight people, particularly in this climate that we have or we're going into at that point. So yeah, no one in the show is particularly likable or respectable. The kid at the start that we see, Fargus, or his name is, he basically is presenting as femme. He looks like pulling pants down, but he uses the gay card to get a better grade off his teacher, who is Jesse James Keitel, who was on Star Trek Strange New Worlds playing the worst Star Trek villain ever. She cannot act, and this show proves she cannot act, but at least she's playing herself, so it's not as much of a stretch. It's not as grating as seeing her try and play a Star Trek villain. There's a lot of hot guys in this. There's a lot of sex. There's a few graphic scenes, but you never really see a penis. The only penis you see in this whole show is Jesse James Keitel, and you get a full frontal and you have to look at it. And there's a political statement there. This is all about political statements and telling you what you should want to see, what you should watch, what you should know, what you should like, what you should accept. And none of it's relatable, or you can't emphasize of any of these characters really. And yeah, so basically the community shuts down. Now, Brody's ex got with his best friend, and the best friend was the one who got shot, and Brody's on the crack pipe. Not Brody. I mean, the ex is on the crack pipe while he's still trying to be a lawyer, and he's got this big studio place. So they use this as a space to relaunch the gay community with a club they call Ghost Gay. And then by the end, the drag queen who ran that, who was also running Babylon but didn't own it, basically appeals to him and his rich white adoptive parent money to buy the club so they can open it up again and basically relaunch the gay community, because it has shut down and is just defeated. It's kind of like season 3 of Star Trek Discovery, where the Federation collapses and they need Michael Burnham to come in and save it. Except this show has no Michael Burnham. Everyone's just dwelling in their victimhood and trauma. And it's a miserable show. There's nothing aspiring about it. There's nothing uplifting about it. There's nothing hopeful about it. The very end, where they're sort of going back in and renovating the club, it's got a couple of bullet holes and a crystal, a mirror ball that fell. That's about it. They don't need to be breaking down walls and pulling up floors. It's like, but yeah, so probably the least, Kim Cattrall. She plays the white mother of the black adopted son. She's rich. She hates her husband. She finds out that he donated the sperm to Harvey Keitel. I keep wanting to call Jesse James Keitel Harvey Keitel. I'm sorry, it's just the name thing. He donated sperm to her, even though she still has her penis. I guess her fiance, who's black, wanted black children. I don't know how they ended up with that situation, but she finds out she's got grandkids, so she starts showing up being the grandmother, being there all the time. But then she eventually hooks up with the mother and decides she's gay. So she divorces her husband and throws a big party with flags, and she's on a stage with a big flag behind her saying, "I'm gay!" And Juliette Lewis is in it as well. She plays the mother of Fergus, whatever his name is, the one who looks like pulling pants down. I'm wondering if any of my American friends watching this will know who pulling pants down is. But he's chasing Brody the whole time, and Brody's just skirting on his looks because he's a hot black guy, and he's got rich white parents, so he's got the best of both worlds. He's hot and black, and he's got rich white money. So he's oblivious to his privilege and just is narcissistic and just rolls through the world, just using everyone, and everyone loves him but hates him. And yeah, the whole show's a mess. Like I said, none of the people are likable. You can't really relate to them, and if you do, you relate to the worst part of yourself that you want to move past. And in the end, he decides to go to London to get away from everyone and everything, because he runs from everything. But the drag queen says, "Please help me buy the club so I can bring it back." So he gives her his rich white parent money, and they open the club again. And he goes to go to London, and they have a moment where they actually show a shot of the original actor from the original Queer as Folk, the kid who runs off to the city. I've forgotten the actor's name. But they've got a picture of him with his current beard and current look and all that. Because he said, I'm going to London. And they're like, oh yeah, the Canal Street, is fire. And I'm talking to this guy. I'm going to hook up with him, shack up with him. And it's like, I think it's the name on the profile is the character who was in the UK Queer as Folk, but I meant to check that. But it's the actor. I don't know if they did that with his permission. It's an actual proper cameo, or if they just did it. But he's got this profile picture with his shirt off, and he's holding a towel over his junk, So he ends up not going. He turns around, and he goes, and then he declares his love to the Jesse James Keitel character, because they were best friends in school, which you don't really see until the last episode. You see her trying to play herself as a younger man. It doesn't work because she's had all that work done to feminize herself, and he declares his love for her, and apparently he was in love with him when she was a him, and then he transitioned, and then he still hung around as a friend and donated the sperm and all that, but what, did he really want to be with her and have a family with her? What's going to happen to... Because he knows the wife is cheated because he saw her kissing the mother, and I'm like, is he going to sabotage her so he gets the kids, or what? It's just a big, huge, messy, ugly thing with people who I don't want to know or wouldn't want to be around, and I can see why the show failed. It it's no fun. There are elements of it that are relatable, but it's all kind of past tense, but yet trying to be yeah, it's just a mess. And I'm not surprised it failed. I don't want to see where they go with the storylines. I'm fine with it ending. It's just disappointing because they could have done a really great show just representing the gay community as it is, fairly balanced show that we're people with our own, struggles and issues, as well as, the gay stuff. Instead of just reveling in the victimhood of all of that and being totally political. And unfortunately, that's how Russell Davies thinks, and he was the creator of the original show. He did this, and there's a world of difference between the two. And I understand why it failed. I'm fine that it did. I hope the show gets a revival with someone else at some point, because I think we do need it for representation, but not this kind of representation.